Welcome to Drugs, Brain, and Behavior, Spring 2025. Happy New Year. My name is Eric Olson, and I'm going to be your professor this term. I've studied drugs for many years. I like to joke that I didn't finish my PhD in under 5 years because I did it on cocaine, more specifically, the effects of cocaine on dopamine release. I've gone on to study dopamine release in a variety of animal models of addiction in response to pretty much every drug you can think of at this point. I've studied heroin and opioids, interactions with buprenorphine. I've done a lot of work with cannabinoids. That was the primary emphasis of my postdoctoral work. I've studied alcohol, a variety, MDMA, a variety of different, drugs and how they act on the brain. So this is certainly a subject that I've thought about more than just about any of my classes. I have been teaching this class for over 10 years and have slowly transitioned from sort of a lecture-based sage on the stage where I lecture 100% of the class and give you 3 or 4 exams to basically lecturing for about 33% of the class and devoting the rest to other learning activities that I think are very important to make you think about the material at a deeper level and from many different perspectives other than just my own. I generally think that an upper division college class is most effective, accessible, and equitable when they're centered around the student learning rather than me teaching and being engaged through multiple learning activities, which you certainly will be in this class. My main goals are to really facilitate deep and critical thinking about drugs and implications of drugs in society rather than only teaching you content, which I used to emphasize 100% of the time. Of course, there is key content associated with that you also are going to be responsible for that will appear on weekly quizzes. But, in it, my main goal is really to have you think deeply and critically and broadly about drugs and consider multiple perspectives rather than my own. I also believe it's very important to impart certain skills. So I will engage you in certain skills like critical thinking, at least introduce you a little bit to concepts like artificial intelligence, reinforce the idea of discussing sensitive topics civilly, and also work on writing a little bit in sort of some unique styles. So here I'm going to bring you in quickly to our course shell and syllabus and go over those for you. So here's what you'll see when you enter the course shell. Here I just updated the syllabus, but it's identical to the Word document that I posted there last week. Really, I just updated it and modernized it in a Google Doc so you can access it and read it more legibly on your smartphone or tablet. But the information is very identical. Most of the class is set up through the modules. I have this supplemental Goodman-Gilman textbook here if you want to access it, but know that there is no actual textbook that's required in this class. I've tried to make all of the relevant readings and these sorts of things freely available to you. We have this music movie book club, which is a big part of the class. I will come back to that when we enter the syllabus. But in every module in this class, there are weekly modules. You will go in and do a variety of things. First, you'll need to review my voiced over PowerPoint lectures. I will slowly begin replacing some of these with more YouTube-based recordings. But for these, what you need to do is click on the PowerPoint presentation and then download the PowerPoint presentation. You cannot just view the PowerPoint presentation in the cloud for the audio to work. You actually have to download the file. And once you download the file, you'll be able to play the audio associated with the PowerPoint file. The quizzes will be 100% based off of material from these lectures. In addition, every week there is sort of a thought question, deep thinking, critical thinking thought material that I will post that you are responsible for. You should review that and then create a thought paragraph, and you will also have to respond to several of your peers' thought paragraphs to earn full credit. Finally, you will need to join a media club group, either a book club, a music club, or a movie club. I will go over that further in the syllabus, but to earn full credit for that over the course of the term, you need to post at least 6 times to that particular club. Here would be the learning objectives associated with lecture material, with the actual lecture material that you would need to master to do well on quiz one. And here is the thought question material for the first week. You would review several articles or videos, in this case related to drug scheduling, and then respond to my prompt. In this case, is alcohol more dangerous than heroin, morphine, cocaine, MDMA, psilocybin, cannabis? Uh, or, if you don't want to respond to that prompt, you can also respond to whether or not you think there's a conflict of interest with Dr. Nutt owning and marketing Cynthia Spirits, something that you're seeing more and more of in the popular press and just in advertisements. So when there are multiple prompts present, you do not need to respond to all of them. You can just pick one. So now we'll jump here to the syllabus. Here is what it looks like. Again, this is going to be an asynchronous online class, meaning that we'll never have to meet at the same place at a particular time. Aubrey is going to be your TA this semester. She's had this class, is going to do a wonderful job, I know. There is no required textbook. All material can be accessed using links within the schedule of events in this syllabus. Um, there is a lot of material, a lot of assignments in this class. Know that you have a pretty liberal drop policy in this class relative to all of my others. Only 12 of the 15 discussions must be completed. This is intentional. It not only adds equity, makes the class more inclusive, it also makes it more equitable. It accommodates life, allows you to uh, organize your schedule a bit around competing life events, but it also allows you to avoid conversations and discussions that you don't want to be involved in. In addition, it allows you to pick the discussions that most interest you. So there are multiple ways to approach this sort of liberal discussion policy. One quiz is going to be dropped to accommodate life in general. In addition, I will drop another quiz if 70% of the class completes their FCQs at the end of the year. Note that I can't see who specifically has taken their FCQ, but I can see how many students as a percentage of the class have completed their FCQ. 70% is a high completion rate. So it really requires most of you to give me feedback. I am very passionate about making this class as accessible, thought-provoking, and interesting as possible. So I really do value your feedback and I take it into account every semester, and I'm always trying to make these classes better, which I cannot do without you. So we do have a late policy, but do know that I really try to be as accommodating as possible. I generally view my late policy and my schedule of events as being there to keep you on track to finish the class or to complete the class on time. If there is some health issue or some family crisis that emerges, please let me know, and I will find an equity-based minded solution to get us through. I'm very committed to the concept of universal design. If you, first of all, I believe I've already addressed all accommodation letters that I've received. If you, I have not done so, or that you cannot see that I've done so on your end, please let me know, and we will do so. It's very important, though, to try to stay on this constant schedule. You know, it's a very recurring weekly schedule. There is a lot, but I know that you can do it, and especially if you stay on schedule. Falling behind is never going to be great. You're just going to create a hole that you have to climb out of. If you do end up in that hole, I will help you. We will get you out of it to the best of my ability. But yeah, just the best thing that you could possibly do is stay out of the hole in the first place. Again, it's a very unique format in this class. One third of the class, your grade will come from these quizzes based on my lecture. In addition, you're going to have these weekly thought paragraphs. You're also going to join the media club. So let me get into that a little further. Again, the quizzes, there'll be one at the end of each week. These are mainly going to be based off or 100% based off of my lectures. In addition, every module, every week, there's going to be the thought material. Like in week one, it's all on drug scheduling. But we'll touch on a variety of very relevant and timely applications related to drugs, sort of more big picture concepts than what would we get into in lecture. Lecture, we talk more about like the nuts and bolts of pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics, how drugs act on the brain and body. This gives us an opportunity to think about drugs more broadly. Um, in addition, you will also join a learning community on drugs. This will also engage you in drugs and make you think about them in a completely different context rather than sort of broad, timely, relevant questions. This will have you think about drugs really oftentimes through more of a social and cultural lens. So think about whether you want to think about drugs through music, through mixtapes. Many musicians have composed very wonderful pieces of music related to drugs. Some sort of horror stories, some praising love stories to drugs, and really everything in between. If you want to consider drugs through this lens, Music Club would be great for you. In addition, there's some fantastic movies that have been made on drugs. I have curated seven for you, just like I've created seven mixtapes on music for you. So if you would rather consider drugs and how drugs affect, for example, the family dynamic or the effect that drugs might have on indigenous populations or the what addiction might look like. This can be conveyed much more vividly in some of these movies, some of these passion projects people have created that I can possibly get at in lecture. So I think it also provides a very unique way of thinking about drugs at a very deep level. Don't want to join the movie or music club? Perfectly fine. I have a great alternative for you, and that is a book club. Specifically, the book we would be reading is Poland's book on how to change your mind using psychedelics. There's also an accompanying Netflix series that you might have seen. But here I have access to the book, and you can follow the link provided later in the syllabus and read this book over the course of the semester and make 6 posts associated with the book to earn full credit. Um, you will prepare an essay associated with your learning community or inspired by either the movies, the music you listen to, or the book, the Poland book. And you will write an essay associated with that. The essay will be inversely related to the book club or the amount of time that it takes for you to digest the media associated with the club that you joined. For example, the book club requires the shortest essay. Then the movie club, a little longer, and then the music club would require the longest essay of the three media clubs. This is really designed to be more of a critical thinking essay. It is not restricted to be sort of a neuroscientific research style academic paper. I encourage you to think about drugs using this from really outside of the box. I've had so many unique essays come in here. I really don't want to pigeonhole you to a specific topic. There's a couple examples here in the modules of what people have done before. Psychedelics is very common now. I've had people focus on, what the psychedelic churches look like, the legality of that. It is really the first line of the First Amendment. What does that say? Alternatives are some people break down the prison system. What do we do with repeat drug offenders? Should all drugs be decriminalized? Some critically take on legalization or what that has done. How is this affecting mental health? Alternatively, some people really explore the effects of drug addiction and drug use on the family dynamic. Some explore Alcoholics Anonymous or NA, and how these things, play off Jungian psychology. And particularly the movie Flight is very much seems to be inspired by AA, if that's one you wanted to explore. In addition, some of the artists in the music club have all been, touched by recovery, which is another great focus, or could be a great focus of an essay. So here's your final breakdown. About 1/3 of the class or your grade will come from performance on the quizzes, which will be based off of my lectures. This will be more like the basic science. About 25% of your grade will be based off of these thought paragraphs. For example, the first one being on drug scheduling. Um, and then the remaining class will be focused on the media club and your essay based off of the media club. So again, to earn full credit for the discussion of the media club, you have to post 6 times. One of these 6 posts can be your introduction of just joining the club, introducing yourself to it. So really only 5 total posts, and good posts, not just I read this chapter or watched this movie. You actually have to break it down a little bit. Tell us a little bit what you think about it. And you can also, for example, use some of these discussion posts to talk about the essay that you're developing, which will also be worth almost 25% of your final grade, the critical thinking essay based off of the media club. And I would like you to submit an outline of this, of what you're thinking of writing your critical thinking essay on to me. I've included a template of what I'm expecting there at the end of the syllabus. But yes, I'd like you to submit that to me around midterm so I can give you feedback and make sure we're on the same page. I take discrimination very seriously in this class. If you feel that I or any of your peers are discriminating against you, I recommend that you contact the Office of Equity. We will be discussing several sensitive topics in this class, particularly in the community, or especially in the peer discussion, in the deep thinking discussion forums, but also in the media club. Some of these songs and movies get into very sensitive subjects, as do some of the deep thinking paragraphs that you will be developing. We will be touching on things like socioeconomic status, racial and ethnic dynamics, and how those intersect with the addiction phenomenon. We will be touching a little bit on gender. We will be touching on drug dependence. I will keep one thing that I think that not everybody keeps in mind is that I guarantee you a sizable percentage of people in this class are in recovery. Uh, you know, uh, even exploring or glamorizing drug use, that can be triggering or traumatic to some people that have really been through the ringer, if not through themselves, maybe through a family member, an abusive parent. Maybe someone has even been through Al-Anon, sort of the sister program to AA and NA, which is there for sort of the person that is codependent or the sort of the survivor of addiction. That is, typically they have a harder time than the person that's actually experiencing addiction themselves. So yeah, just something to think and keep in mind. And many of these sensitive topics will not only affect your peers in this class, but will affect future colleagues as well. So I think it's one of the many skills that I'd like you to pick up on here is how to talk about some of these sensitive topics civilly and cordially and respectfully. But do know that, I mean, they will come up, and some of these movies do bring, and songs in particular, do touch on some very sensitive topics. So be aware of that. Here is the general schedule of events. It is going to occur in a very consistent pattern. You should post your initial discussion post really by every Friday and take your quiz by every Sunday, is generally how it works, although follow the course guidelines. The critical thinking links can be found through here. All of these are actionable action like links that will bring you somewhere, and then you follow the prompt to create your critical thinking paragraph. And then to earn full credit for that, you need to complete the loop by responding to your peers' discussion paragraphs. Uh, so you do one of those for each week. We'll touch on everything from, can psychedelics be harnessed for therapy? Does spirituality or embracing sort of the spiritual component enhance the potential outcomes on health? Are SSRIs actually effective for depression? What role does a placebo play? Uh, anyway, these are some examples. Now, this media club, I think that this is actually very important. This is not busy work. This is not completely for fun, although I think it can be a lot of fun. You are thinking about drugs from a very unique perspectives. It can really bring in sort of some vivid examples of drug dependence and what that can do to the family. But also, this brings in some possibilities to explore cultural and societal impacts associated with addiction at a much deeper level than what we really could possibly do in lecture. Ultimately, you're going to develop an essay based off of this. So again, the book essay, if you join the book club, only needs to be 2 pages. The movie essay would need to be 3. The music, 4. I would like to see a general idea of your sort of deep thinking, critical thinking essay by midterm following the template at the end of the syllabus. Here's a link to the book that you would pick if you or read if you're joining in the book club. And then there are 7 mixtapes if you're joining the music club based around certain themes. Like some people use drugs to self-medicate, or they would argue to expand the mind. Some people just enjoy abusing drugs and sing about it. There is a lot of impact of drug dealing, drug exchange, so and reflection of the drug deal from various perspectives in music. Drugs in society is broadly explored in this particular mixtape. There are a lot of pro-cannabis anthems out there, cannabis being one of the more common first drugs that people would experiment with. So you might think of it as a first love for a lot of artists, and they wax poetically about it. However, many drug musicians have also encountered the dark side of drug use, and there is most certainly a dark side of drug use. Again, many students in this class are in a recovery. I would like you to keep that in mind. So here, these might be particularly great to focus on if you are in recovery. You can even skip one of the mixtapes about drugs because people abusing drugs if you think that might be triggering to you, and focus more on getting clean ain't easy, or some of these warning songs about staying sober and how you get there. Uh, the last one would be Music Club. Birds of Passage, and Pain and Glory are both Spanish language films that will have you think about drugs from a very unique perspective, especially from a cultural perspective. Flight is a Denzel Washington film based on a true story about sort of how drug use might impact others. There are also very strong AA and NA themes in Flight. Krisha is a very great indie film. It's almost painful to watch. The cinematography really makes you feel like you are going through drug withdrawal, and it's really explores the how drug use impacts the family dynamic. The house I live in really breaks down, the how drugs and the drug war and the prison system and how these things intersect with drug addiction. And Drugstore Cowboy and Requiem for a Dream are two sort of classic films portraying the downward spiral of addiction. Drugstore Cowboy really starting more with really poly-drug abuse, but also everything from pills to stealing drugs from veterinary clinics. Requiem for a Dream focuses most prominently on heroin and opioids, but there are additional side stories in there as well, including one with speed, really multiple examples there. Here is an example of the outline template here, a brief introduction with a hook sentence and a body and a conclusion. Please submit that to me by midterm so I can give you some feedback and make sure we're on the same page. I would ideally like you to join a media club within the first couple of weeks of the class. And again, the first post just simply has to be an introduction, who you are, and why, maybe why you are interested in joining that particular club. Very easy first assignment that you have to do there. So that is all I have to share with you today. If you ever have any questions for me, feel free to email me, respond to the virtual office, or request a Zoom meeting. I'm happy to meet with you, any of you by Zoom at any time to discuss the course material, the essay, the media club assignment, your future careers, drugs in general. Really, whatever you want to talk about, I'm here for you. I look forward to having what I hope will be an entertaining, thought-provoking, and enlightening educational semester for you. Let me know if you have any questions.